Training 2017, and it rolls on from Roger Dean Stadium. Spring training home to both the Miami Marlins and the St. Louis Cardinals, and these two teams square off for the final time in March. And with Preston Wilson, I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're delighted to have you with us for baseball today. Spring training almost over. Final tune-ups for these guys.
Well, Mike Leake is going to be the starter for the Cardinals, and he's a guy, he's going to pitch the contact ball. He's got to be better. Wei-Yin Chen. If you're wondering how to say his name, it's Wei-Yin, which is what the Marlins want him to do. They want him to pitch in. He will effectively up the outside part of that plate and show some of that promise he had in Baltimore.
It's Mike Leake, it's Wei-Yin Chen, it's Miami, it's St. Louis. Gorgeous day for baseball. Sit back, take it in. It comes your way next. At Roger Dean Stadium, along with Preston Wilson, I'm Dan McLaughlin. It's a dual feed on Fox Sports Midwest and Fox Sports Florida. We'll have our first pitch and our starting lineups coming up from Roger Dean in just a moment. Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. Preston Wilson, Dan McLaughlin with you. The Marlins and the Cardinals. Final time these two teams meet this spring from Roger Dean. Temperature 78 degrees. Not much humidity. And it is a breezy day. It's coming in from right field towards home plate. And Preston, you played in this ballpark number of times, number of years, and you know that wind can be tricky here in Florida.
Well, you got a nice breeze out there, but you got that, and also there's very few clouds up there. So if you're going to see a mistake, it's going to be a day like today for a fly ball.
We saw that yesterday in a aided double from the sunshine for the Marlins. It led to the lone run, and Miami won yesterday's ball game 1-0. The Cardinals come in with a record of 17, 8, and 3 this spring. It's been a very good spring for Mike Matheny's club. The Marlins 10, 14, and 4. And it all opens up the regular season of Major League Baseball a week from tonight in St. Louis, Sunday Night Baseball. Miami Marlins starting lineup presented by Kia. D. Gordon, Ichiro Suzuki, then Bohr and Stanton, Dietrich, Barnes, Cabrera, Ryan Jackson at short, former Cardinal, and Wei-Yin Chin, the pitcher. It all starts, though, Preston, with that young man, D. Gordon.
Well, he's a table setter. He's the guy that they want to get that spark going. So those guys in the middle of the lineup, Stanton, Yelich, Ozuna, can do their job and drive him in.
So D. Gordon will lead it off for Don Mattingly's club. A season ago, the Miami Marlins were in the hunt for a wild card spot, came up just a bit short. And the Cardinals fell just one game short of postseason play, eliminated on the final day of the regular season. Mike Leake gets the call for St. Louis today. And back from the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, it is Yadier Molina. Now, the big news concerning the Cardinals has been the Molina contract extension. He has said publicly he wants this done by the end of spring training, so the Cardinals and his representatives can try to work out a deal by, well, next Sunday. We'll see if it happens. Our Chevy starter is Mike Leake, the right-hander. Year 2 of a 5-year contract with the Cardinals. His numbers presented by Chevrolet. It was an up-and-down season for Mike. He went 9-12 as he made 30 starts.
Well, Mike Leake is definitely a guy that's going to pitch the contact. You see him standing on the first base side of the rubber there. He throws across his body. That's where the deception comes in. So he tries to get the ball off the barrel on the ground, and the Cardinals are going to have to make that adjustment this year and play better defense behind him.
And he's the poster child for that. A lot of ground balls, doesn't walk many, puts the ball in play. And the infield defense, no doubt, has to be better behind Mike Leake. And that's part of it right there. Colton Wong could be the everyday second baseman for the Cardinals as we go around the horn, presented by Dobbs. Randall Grichuk in left, Dexter Fowler in center, Steven Piscotty in right. Jed Jerko, Aledmus Diaz on the left side of the infield, Wong and Carpenter on the right side, and Yadier Molina is behind the plate. Mike Matheny, year 6. As the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. Last season, the only time the Cardinals in his tenure have not made it to postseason play. Cardinals went 86 and 76. So D. Gordon leads it off, and we're underway. Showing bunt, looks at a strike. He had an average of 268 a year ago. 30 stolen bases, and he did serve 80 games for violating the PED policy. So the stolen bases were down, and you would anticipate that would change this year. There's a ground ball hit to Colton Wong. One away.
Yeah, that's a rough start right there for D. Gordon. Got sawed off a little bit, then stumbled coming out of the box. There's not many times you see a ground ball hit by D. Gordon when he's not in the picture when the ball reaches the first baseman. Get a look at him here, kind of stumbling out of the box. You just, when you're in the dugout, you just hold your breath right there and go, look, we got a week left.
Right.
Nothing bad happens right here. You know, take your time, D.
And from the Cardinals' perspective, yesterday it was Lance Lynn, 1 inning. Then Gant came in. He was done. He's going to miss about a week with a issue with his leg. And then Johnny Peralta fouled a ball off his knee, and he had to leave. 0-1 pitch to Ichiro is taken inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. This guy's amazing, isn't he?
He's unbelievable. His preparation His focus is laser-like. It's uncanny how year after year he looks the same. I mean, this guy's body hasn't changed in 20 years. It's amazing. He's gotten a little older, but you don't see excess weight. You don't see loss of flexibility. You know, bat speed may not be as good as it was, but he's so much smarter now that he makes up for it. It's unbelievable things he's done in his career.
17th season since coming over from Japan, had the MVP years in Seattle, and strokes one into center. There is Fowler, and it drops in.
Yeah, that's a tough ball right there. Dexter held back because he thought it might have been hit a little hard at first. It was on the line, but I think it was off the end of the bat just a tad. Oh, yeah, just off the end of the bat, just a little bit. The center fielder, all he sees is the line of flight on the ball. So he holds up. The ball doesn't quite carry as far. Ichiro gets himself a single. See Dexter hold up right there. By the time you get going again, it's too late.
So one out base hit for Ichiro brings in Justin Bour. He's in that enviable spot of hitting in front of Giancarlo Stanton.
The only thing is you have to make sure that you don't overthink it when you're hitting in front of a guy like Giancarlo Stanton, because sometimes you can fool yourself into thinking that you're going to get pitched differently than you actually do.
Dealt with some injuries last year, in particular an ankle injury on July 2nd. At that time, he was hitting .268, and he had 15 home runs in 68 games. So he's got tremendous power. The question has always been whether or not he would play every day with a lefty on the mound.
Well, I think some of the disservice that's done to young players is they don't get the opportunity to prove if they can or can't do it. And I'm speaking especially for left-handed hitters. These guys come up through the minor leagues and they don't face left-handed pitching in the minor leagues. And then when they blossom into a prospect or a guy that can get a big league job, now it's a question whether this guy can hit left-handed pitching. Well, you've never asked him to do it before. So now you're asking him in the big leagues to hit the best in the world, when in the minor leagues he didn't get the chance.
Slowly hit right side. Wong shuffle pass and a double play. 4-6-3 off the bat of Bour, and Mike Leake is through one inning. Cardinals coming up in the home half of the first, and there's no score. And the Cardinals on both Fox Sports Midwest and Fox Sports Florida. Wei-Yin Chen gets the start for Miami.
Oh, Wei-Yin Chen was brought over from Baltimore. They gave him a nice deal. Has battled some injuries since he's been with the Marlins, but the big thing has been the home runs. He's given up 4 home runs in 11 innings in spring training this year, and also pitching a little bit more deceptively when he's ahead in the count. Sometimes he's too hittable when he has the batter at a disadvantage.
Last year, 5-5. You talk about the injuries. He missed 2 months with an elbow sprain. Don Mattingly has announced that his opening day starter will be Edinson Volquez, who signed a free agent deal. And a free agent that the Cardinals picked up is Dexter Fowler. Leads it off and taps it foul.
An emotional night a week from tonight for Dexter Fowler, facing his former team, the Chicago Cubs. And then, as you know, opening day so special in St. Louis. Here's the 0-1. Popped up. Right side, Moore. Foul territory, one away. Cardinals lineup presented by Kia. Just saw Fowler, then Aledmys Diaz. Breakout season for him a year ago. Then Matt Carpenter, Jed Jerko, Yadier Molina, Steven Piscotty, Randall Grichuk, Colt Wong, and Mike Leake. A lot of the regulars are in the lineup today for the Cardinals. Number 16 is being worn on the jerseys all season long by the Marlins. Remember Jose Fernandez, and this is his childhood friend that grew up on the same street in Cuba, Aledmys Diaz.
Yeah, played youth baseball together, really good friends. And they both made it to the major leagues from such humble beginnings.
How did the Marlins get over the loss of Jose Fernandez?
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't get over a generational type player. And that's the type of talent that Jose Fernandez possessed.
Here's a 2-0 pitch. Diaz out to deep left. Will it stay fair? It's hooking, and it is a foul ball. Not by much. The wind is blowing that way, so.
It started out as a fair ball, but the wind pushed it just foul. You see they're landing in the background. I'm parked over there.
Well, you better be careful.
Yeah, let him take it easy, man.
He had 17 home runs a year ago, finished 5th in the Rookie of the Year balloting. Made the All-Star game as a replacement for Matt Carpenter. And he was the first rookie for the Cardinals to go to the All-Star game since Albert Pujols did it back in the early 2000s. 3 balls, 1 strike on Diaz. He's had a good spring. 342 his average. His chin pulls a string.
Well, that's a good pitch right there, and that's part of what Chin has to do. He has to be able to pitch backwards. 3-1 count. Don't give in with a fastball, because he doesn't have that velocity where he can just throw it by most guys. He's got to trick you at times. That's a good pitch.
3-2 to Diaz. In the air. Out to left. Long way to go for Ichiro. Near the Miami bullpen, and makes the catch. That's not as easy as he just made it look.
No.
Ichiro, Barnes, and Stan in the outfield. Dietrich, Jackson on the left side, Gordon, Bohr on the right side, and the veteran Ramon Cabrera is behind the plate.
Well, what you just saw with Ichiro there is that's one of those veteran calms. That's why those veterans on your bench or on your team are so valuable, because there's no panic in him. He's seen and done everything, so nothing ever really rattles him.
That's a very tough Sun field in left, too. As we saw yesterday in the ball that dropped in front of Grichuk and led to the lone run for Miami.
And we're talking about a field where the ball was just blown foul on a home run that could have been potentially, and he still overplayed it and made it look really easy.
Carpenter this spring hitting .238, missed some time with a lower back issue, and he missed time last year because of the oblique, and the Cardinals wanted to make sure that wasn't going to be the case this season. Shoots it the other way, and that slice it foul. So here's what we're talking about yesterday. Looked to be a routine play and a catch. Nothing but routine. Leads to a run. That would be the difference in the game.
And as an outfielder, you're absolutely powerless, because if you don't have enough time to get yourself from that direct line out of the Sun baseball and yourself, you're just stuck there.
Here's a 1-2. Carpenter, a ground ball to second. Former Gold Glover D. Gordon puts it away. And a 1-2-3 for the Miami lefty. Wei-Yin Chin. No score. Giancarlo Stanton is coming up. OF. Along with Preston Wilson of Fox Sports Florida, I'm Dan McLaughlin, Fox Sports Midwest. Leak against Stanton here. Giancarlo back in the lineup yesterday for the Marlins after finishing up and winning the gold medal with Team USA in the WBC.
I think more so for the Marlins guys than the Cardinals players. The Cardinals have had success recently, but for the Marlins players to be put in an environment where there's that pressure, where there's that intensity, I think it's important because this particular group of Marlins players have not had that. They haven't seen postseason play. They haven't had that energy. So I think it's beneficial for those guys that went
3-2. Stanton saying yesterday was the most fun he had ever had putting on a uniform and playing the game.
Winning's a lot of fun. And people, I played a long time without a chance to do it, and when I got a chance, baseball felt different.
Yeah. A strikeout of Stanton. The irony of you winning with the St. Louis Cardinals in 2006 is that it was the anniversary of when the Mets celebrated in 1986 with a guy named Mookie Wilson.
Yes.
Your father.
Yeah, who's sitting right here next to me, actually, by the way, in the booth, hanging out with us for the game today.
You know, Mookie, you're supposed to smile when you win a championship. You could smile a little bit. Cracked a smile. There's a strike to Derek Dietrich. What happens with Dietrich when you've got a situation at third base with Prado, who's injured right now? We talked about Bohr against lefties. He may sit. Does Dietrich find himself all over the place?
Well, he's going to have to. And the tough part for Dietrich is really becoming proficient at positions where he's not used to playing. We've seen him at second base. We did an admirable job. Was probably the best second baseman before D got here with the Marlins.
0-2 pitch.
But you're seeing him try to learn some in left field. You're seeing him try to play third base a little bit. He hasn't had a lot of chance to do that. So it is a learning curve for him. But I would say if anybody can get him through that process.
Ground ball that's hit up the middle. Diaz to his left.
It would be the Marlins' great infield instructor, Perry Hill, who's great teaching guys new positions, getting them acclimated. You see Prado there, team captain, just a steady, good citizen right there. You see Perry Hill, everybody calls him Bone. He's one of the premier infield coaches in baseball. He's so good that guys have won gold gloves in the past and sent them to him. Luis
right?
Castillo sent Perry, Alex Gonzalez sent Perry Hill their gold gloves.
Wow. That's respect.
Yes.
First base coach, noted instructor. The St. Louis side, we talk about Jose Oquendo, and it's interesting when you talk to those around the game, and they say, who are the best infield instructors? Those are the two names that are always mentioned, Oquendo and Perry Hill. There's a fly ball out to deep left, off the bat of Brandon Barnes. Grichuk is back, just enough room, and makes the catch. Barnes gave it a ride, the wind knocked it down, and there's no score midway through 2. Team up with National Alliance on Mental Illness and their commitment to improving the lives of families and those living with mental illness. Learn more about how to be stigma-free and visit foxsportsupports.com. FoxSportsSupports.com. All rights to this broadcast are reserved, and any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, telecommunication to the public, or other unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written permission of the Marlins is prohibited. Preston Wilson, Dan McLaughlin here at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter as Jed Jerko takes a pitch low. Jed Jerko hits 30 home runs a year ago and doesn't have an everyday spot.
You know, it's one of those things where it's a rarity in baseball when it does happen. But he really got hot during the season there, and the home run numbers really kind of clicked for him. But he's one of those guys who has to solidify himself a position, and it's tough when you have a Ledmus Diaz out there, when you got a Matt Carpenter out there. Those guys have shown that they're game changers. You know, the average there at 243, maybe the only knock against Jed right now, but still, you can't ignore 30 home runs.
He's got a couple of home runs this spring. Started 28 games at third and 100 across the entire infield. So he lines it foul near the Cardinal bullpen. Matter of fact, Jed was the first Cardinal with 30 or more home runs since Carlos Beltran did that at 32 in 2012. Nolan Arenado hit the most home runs in the National League at 41. Mark Trumbo at 47 to lead the majors. Doesn't get the call, just missed.
But that's a good pitch, and that's kind of what the Marlins want to see out of Wei-Yin Chen, just to stay off the plate. You're ahead in the count, that 1-2 count. Don't be so hittable. Make the hit, give him a chance to chase.
The 2-2. And he struck him out. First strikeout for Chen in the afternoon. Let's turn to Preston Wilson's Toyota keys to the game.
Well, for the Cardinals, play solid defense. Mike Leake is one of those ground ball guys, and the Cardinals have to step up this year and play better defense. The Marlins, for Wei-Yin Chen, when you're ahead, use that to your advantage and see if that batter will chase. Go off the plate inside, change speeds, be unpredictable.
Big ovation for Yadier Molina as he returns from the WBC.
He did not mean to do that. No way. That's a case where the pitcher literally hit your bat.
Molina, a couple of home runs for Team Puerto Rico. And if they would have won that tournament, he's probably the MVP. He had a tremendous run.
See, that was one of those little checks where Yachty just kind of sees the pitch and the bat went a little too far and the ball just found the bat.
Here's a 1-1. Molina, deep drive out to left, and it's 1-0 St. Louis. Welcome back, Yachty.
Well, as Piscotty congratulates him crossing the plate, did I say a pitch before that the ball found the bat?
Yeah.
I think it found it again, Dan. And that one was a little bit louder. Oh, just a nice short stroke there from Yachty. Got the bat hit on it. Oh, nice. The hand stayed close to the body. Got the barrel through. That's how you generate power without overswinging right there. Keep everything nice and tight. Let that bat do the work. If you're a golfer, they say, let the club head do the work. That's what Yachty did right there.
So 1-0 Cardinals and the home run by Molina. 0-1 the count on Stephen Piscotty. Average at 133 this spring. And there's a base hit into left center. Another pitch that's up from Chen.
Yeah, we talked about the home runs that Wei-Yin Chen's given up. That's the 5th home run that he gave up for Yachty. And this is another ball in the middle of the plate. You know, he's just got to have better command, better location. When you don't throw 94, 95 these days, you can't be up in the zone. You can't be over the middle of the plate. And those last 2 pitches were both. They were up a little bit and in the middle of the plate.
That brings in Randall Grichuk, the left fielder. He is shifting from center to left. You were a guy that played all over the outfield. How hard is that to go from center to left?
Left field is tough because, well, left and right kind of have the same aspects. When you're in center field, you see everything going into the strike zone. So it's a whole lot easier to read the swings. You have more responsibility as far as the ground that you cover and, you know, the kind of center of the quarterback that you're playing in the outfield. But on the corners, you get a read late because if you got a right-handed batter and you're playing left field, you're really only reading the front of the strike zone. You're just seeing the bat late, so sometimes it's tough to judge the swing.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Randal Grichuk. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And a lot of organizations have figured that out, where there's some teams where their best outfielder isn't in center field. He may be the guy that has the most speed, or maybe the guy that's, you know, can run well, but some outfields, your better outfielders are on the corners because it's tough to get that read. There've been a lot of guys just thrown out in the outfield and they realize you can't just put him in the corner.
Sure. That's why I brought it up. They talk about, at least some, they feel, you would think center field because you have to cover so much is the harder of the positions, but the reads from the corners, in particular left, is very, very tough.
Center field is more physically demanding. The corner outfield, you really have to trust what you see.
Yeah.
You have to really make sure you're seeing it and trusting what you see, because it's very easy to make a wrong reaction on the corners.
1-2 the count. Piscotty, a runner at first base. Popped foul and out of play. Beautiful day here at Roger Dean Stadium. This ballpark holds about 6,000 or so, and we're probably maybe 1,000 shy of that. One of the sellouts that we're treated to earlier in the spring was Tim Tebow. There's about 1,000 tickets sold walk up to watch him play in a sold-out crowd. Here's a 1-2. Pulled foul. Everybody all right down there? It seems to be the case. That's easy for me to say up here. To rocket off the bat of Grichuk.
Yeah, the last 3 batters have had a different sound on the ball coming off the bat.
Here's a 1-2. And again, popped up right side. Gordon racing after it, but it's out of play. So the question, I guess, if you're a Marlins fan watching today and you're looking at Chin, does he have a put-away pitch once he gets 2 strikes on a hitter?
Well, and that's the issue that the Marlins have had with Wei-Yin Chen since he's come over, is finding a way for him to put batters away. And they may actually, if he's going to pitch in the upper part of the strike zone like that, they may have to do with him a la Woody Williams, or go even higher. If you're going to be at the top of the strike zone guy, go above that. Because, you know, if you're proving you can't get the ball down consistently, then try to exploit it up. We can't keep pitching right at the top of the strike zone, though, because that's when that hard contact, that's where those home runs, those extra base hits happen, up in the zone. And I just got hit. I knew it was going to happen.
That's your car,
yeah,
huh?
Yeah, Dad, can you go check that out?
I think you just woke him up.
Yeah.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Grichuk. Pulled foul. Man, this is a good example right now. He just does not have a pitch that he can put Grichuk away with, at least yet.
Right.
8 pitches this at bat.
You know, I think the hopes was he had around a 4 ERA for those years that he pitched in Baltimore. AL East, tough division. AL East, tough division. So you would hope that coming into Marlins Park, it would translate into some better numbers. It just hasn't yet.
It's another 1-2 pitch to the Cardinals left fielder Randal Grichuk. Instead, Piscotty back.
You know, we had the keys of the game talking about him pitching more effectively when he's ahead. Well, the home run to Yadier Molina was a 0-1 pitch.
Right.
You got the batter at a disadvantage, and you run right there, right in the strike zone. First pitch strikes, 3 of 7. That's not very good. He's a guy that has to be, you know, in that 60-70%.
Runner goes, Grichuk. A swing and a miss, and then Piscotty stopped as he's back to the bag at first.
Now, that's a good pitch. Remember when we said his name is Wei-Yin? When he's ahead, sometimes he's got to expand off the plate and get way in on the hitters and try to force some missed contact. I mean, that ball just looked like it ate Britchick up. It never stopped coming.
Well, while Bohr may struggle against lefties, that's one of the talks around Cardinals camp with Colt Wong. If you're going to be an everyday player, you know, you got to hit righties, you got to hit lefties. And we were talking about Jerko earlier. That may be one way to get him in the lineup. You could sit Wong against lefties, so this would be a good test for him. He's in the ace spot in the lineup today. Popped up. Derek Dietrich in foul territory, and he makes the catch. The home run by Yadier Molina back in camp with the Cardinals. First at bat and a home run. 1-0 St. Louis. Nothing Cardinals and a home run by Yadier Molina. Mike Leake is struck out one, gave up a base hit to Ichiro, and that was erased on a double play. And now it's Ramon Cabrera, and there's strike one here in the top of the third. JT Realmuto will be the everyday catcher, more than likely, for Miami. There's a ground ball but foul. Realmuto is one heck of an athlete. Move him anywhere you want, basically.
College, high school quarterback in Oklahoma, had the best pop times as far as receiving the ball and getting it to second base for all the catchers in the big leagues a couple years ago. Great feet, good leader. He can play anywhere.
0-2 pitch. It's fouled back.
One of the things people underestimate about him is how hard it is, and Yadi can actually speak to this, coming up as a rookie, given the keys to a pitching staff and having to learn all of those guys.
Pitch that's up and a base hit into right.
Oh, that's a great swing right there. That ball's up in his own. He tomahawked it down there. But going back to this pitch right here, let's look at this. This ball's up at the top of the strike zone. That's an old school top down swing right there. Cabrera, one of the two switch hitting catchers that the Marlins have. They have Tomas Teliz on their roster as well. That's an impressive swing.
Brings in Ryan Jackson. Saw big league time with the Cardinals a few years ago. The first pitch to him is a strike.
But Dan, we were talking about JT Realmuto. Being a young catcher, I think people, because you see the finished product with Yadier Molina now, people forget that he hit 200 or so in his first years. You know,
right?
He was not a very good offensive player, but that responsibility wasn't asked of him. They wanted him to be a catcher, just focus on that.
Long could be two. Nicely done. 4-6-3. Well, that's what you need if you're the Cardinals. We talked about it. Your keys to the game. Cardinals, especially with Leake on the mound, have to be better defensively. And a very nice play on the double play, the second turn by the Cardinals this afternoon.
Give Colton Wong some credit right there. He did the little backhand shuttle pass, but he led Aledmys Diaz right to the bag. He didn't have to slow momentum, got it out in front of him so he can make that turn very easily. That was a snazzy-looking double play there. Let's take another look at it. See, watch this little backhand flip, but he leads Aledmys. See that? Doesn't really have to break stride. Catches it on the go. Very well done.
Chen, little bouncer right side. Carpenter leads Mike Leake. 8-pitch inning for Leake. For St. Louis, Mike Leake leads it off when we come back. Nothing St. Louis. Well, we talked about what it's like to be an outfielder and shift a position. That's what Matt Carpenter is going to do this year, go to first base. And we talk about it all the time. How far does a first baseman want to range to his right?
Well, as a guy who's seen this happen a lot of times, Matt Carpenter made this tough play, but that's Colton Wong's ball. Colton Wong's going to catch that ball about chest high. And look at the difficult throw Matt Carpenter has to make across his body, trying to lead a pitcher. That could have very easily turned into an error. Carpenter's going to learn, look, when I got these rangy guys out there behind me at second base, my range to the second base side is, I don't have to go far. If I got to go more than 2 or 3 steps, that's the second baseman's ball. Beat it back to first base, get ready to get that throw, and you save some wear and tear on your pitcher.
Mike Leake, too, a very good athlete. You saw that as he made the adjustment on a throw that was behind him. But it's something you take for granted is how far is a first baseman supposed to range to his right. And you're right, a lot of it predicated on the fact that if you have a guy with good range like Wong, stay a little bit close to the bag if you want.
Yeah, so that, now you can actually cover more of that first base line, and you don't have to make that difficult throw throwing across your body back to trying to get hitting a moving target.
So Wei-Yin Chen just finished up his warm-up tosses. He's the final out in the top of the third, and Mike Leake will lead it off. 6 career homers for Mike Leake. He can swing the bat. First pitch popped up. Right side, Justin Bohr. 1 pitch, 1 away. And we head back to the top of the lineup. Dexter Fowler and then Aledmys Diaz. Along with Preston Wilson, I'm Dan McLaughlin. You're watching on Fox Sports Midwest and Fox Sports Florida. Preston, longtime Marlin, world champion with the Cardinals. 2006. Here's Dexter Fowler. Fowler with a high drive out to deep left. Going back, Ichiro looks up and it's gone. A high towering home run for Dexter Fowler and the second homer for the Cardinals today. Boy, did he jump on that pitch.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier in the game with Wei-Yin Chen. If you're going to be up at the top of the strike zone, you may have to start going higher than high. Because when you're about waist high, those balls, we used to say they're finch high. All I got to do is hit it. Look, that ball's mid-thigh. And Fowler knew he got a lot of it when he hit it. It's just a matter of whether it was going to carry that distance, and it did.
Diaz, who flied out to left.
And this being the second time through the lineup now, these hitters have seen Wei-Yin Chen. They've seen the release point. They know what the ball looks like coming out of his hands.
And an 0-1 pitch. Diaz base hit into right. Cardinals pick up their 4th hit of the day. Last year, St. Louis hit 225 home runs, which was second in Major League Baseball and the second highest total in franchise history. And that was with Matt Carpenter missing considerable time. They lose 60 home runs with Holliday now. Matt Holliday with the New York Yankees. Brandon Moss at 28 home runs. He's with Kansas City. Jeremy Hazelbaker. He's with Arizona. He popped 12 home runs. There's ball 1 to Carpenter.
Boy, Hazelbaker really opened my eyes last year. I remember last year doing a game here with you in spring training and sitting there talking about how some guys, they forced the manager to pay attention to him. And Hazelbaker was one of those guys last year where you could not help but pay attention to everything he did.
Could run, hit for a little power, could play all outfield spots.
Ran the bases well, executed hit and runs. There's some guys where the manager's waiting to find a guy like that, who he can do anything with. He can play the hit and run game. He can switch you positions, hit you against different parts of the lineup. He's one of those guys that he made a name for himself, and it's sad to see him go, but it was nice to see him blossom like that.
Finally get a break. 2-0 the count on Carpenter. Rounded out to second, his first time up. Lead at first by Aledmys Diaz. Carpenter lifts a fly ball into center. Brandon Barnes is there to make the catch. We've not seen a lot of Marcell Ozuna in center field. He was nursing a leg issue, and they've been very careful with that.
Well, I think Ozuna's going to be a corner guy anyway now. Last year was more of a center fielder, but I think the thinking of the Marlins is if we put that arm on a corner, it's going to come into play more. When you're in Marlins Park and you got that big, deep outfield, you don't get to use your arm when you're in center field. But now you play Marcell Ozuna on a corner, you got Stanton on the other corner. Now those two big arms can actually be to your benefit.
Yelich in center. Jerko on the first pitch lifts a fly ball into right. There's Stanton under it with the shades on and puts it away. The Cardinals have a couple of home runs in this game, both solo shots. The first, Yadier Molina, moments ago, Dexter Fowler. It adds up to a 2-run lead. It is opening day and the countdown is on April 3rd for the Miami Marlins. They will open up in Washington. Pre-game show at 12:30. The play-by-play will start at 1. And it's been announced by Don Mattingly that Edinson Volquez will get that start on opening day. A lot of games on the road initially in the month of April for Miami. 24 games, only 9 at home. That's it. So the Marlins will open up on the road at Washington April 3rd. And you can see it on Fox Sports Florida at 12:30.
Did I see that right? Seattle,
yes,
San Diego, and Philadelphia?
Yes. Tough way to start. D. Gordon. Base hit into left.
It's got to be a nice sight for Don Mattingly to see D. Gordon. Nice sharp contact, hit it by that drawn-in third baseman. Now you do what you do best, and that's wreak havoc on the bases, make those infielders rush a little bit. On a ground ball to the outfielder, they're going to pick their head up a little bit sooner, worried about that speed on a base pass.
This is fun. You have one of the game's best behind the plate. You got one of the game's best base stealers at first. Last year, Molina was 18 of 85, only 21% throwing out base stealers a year ago. That's half of what he's done in the past.
Well, a lot of it came, I think, from Yachty having that forearm injury. You know, even though it may not have been his throwing arm, there's still things that you have to contend with, getting strength back. And also, pitchers have to hold runners better.
That's something that Mike Matheny has talked about, really stressed here in camp. He wants his pitchers to be better, quicker to the plate, vary up their times. And he said, you know, maybe some of the blame goes on us as a coaching staff, too. We try to direct the running game and how it, you know, how we want our guys to throw, vary up the time. So it's all part of it. Quick move, and he got him. Leak picks off Gordon.
Well, that's one way to nullify a running game.
That helps.
Yachty doesn't have to worry about his percentage when you do that. Oh, that's close. I don't know if he got him there. That's close. That's I think he might be back.
Not sure he even had the tag on him.
Yeah, I think he might have been safe right there.
A strike to Ichiro. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, and that's one of the clubs Mike Leake does have in his bag, is he does have good feet. He's a really athletic pitcher, and he can kind of stop some of the action that he puts on the bases by picking off guys.
What's your key as a base runner, right-hander on the mound? What are you looking at?
Everybody was different, and that's the thing that I always try to tell young base runners. Do your work to find out what these guys do differently.
Leake steps and throws, makes the play for out number 2.
Some guys look at the front heel. Some guys looked at the guy's head who might tilt it down. Some of it was the guys that kind of slide their weight. You pick up something off their back shoulder, and when that clears, you know they have to go to home plate. Everybody has something different, so there's no one set of rules for any particular pitcher.
Interesting. There's Justin Bohr grounded into a double play, his first time up. Miami last year 79 and 82, the high water mark, 9 games above 500, turned into 3 below, with a second half that was 9 games below the 500 mark. Really went for it, dealt prospects for Fernando Rodney and Andrew Kashner. Really didn't pan out, either one of those guys. 3-0. Then you had injuries, Stanton, Bohr, Dietrich, Adam Conley. Chin was gone for a couple of months. A.J. Ramos. Phelps was out for a while.
Yeah, the injury bug hit the Marlins hard, but more than anything, they tried to bolster the starting rotation by getting Colin Ray and getting Andrew Kashner, and neither one of those guys, Colin Ray lasted a game, had the injury, and then Andrew Kashner just really did not really pan out as far as that guy they thought would kind of match or be right below Jose Fernandez at the top of the order. And then, of course, the tragedy for Jose Fernandez really changed the game for the Marlins.
One swing of the bat could tie it up. Here is Stanton.
This is the time of spring where I look for the big guys to start getting right, because when you got the bigger moving parts, it's a little bit harder to get your swing right. You know, some of the kids have the advantage of playing in Dominican or some of the winter ball places. But when you're a U.S.-bound Major League Baseball player that's established, you don't usually go play winter ball. So those first couple weeks of spring training are kind of tough. You know, being the big guy with the long arms, trying to work out that swing. But that last week and a half is where you want to see those big guys start to really kind of put it together. And this is the time right now where Stanton needs to get going, have some better, consistent at-bats.
You grew up around the game, around Major League ballparks, played a long time. You've seen a guy that hits the ball as hard as Stanton?
I've seen a few guys hit it as hard as Stanton, but you don't see them often. It's a different sound. It's a different kind of awestruck feeling that you get when you watch the baseball hit his bat. And you hear that sound that it makes.
He's now entering year 3 of a 13-year, $325 million deal. The real issue, though, with him is can he stay healthy? He's played in 123 games or fewer in 4 of the past 5 years.
You know, when he got hit in the face a couple years ago, that was a big obstacle. And you watch him now, I think he's just starting to get more confident at the plate against right-handers.
2-2. He smokes one into deep center. Fowler going back. And one hops off the wall. We'll see a relay here. They're going to bring in Bohr. Relay to the plate. And they hold him up. Very well done by the Cardinals.
Well, when you talk about how hard a ball is hit, when you see a center fielder just turn around and put his head down and the ball doesn't leave the ballpark, you know this ball is smoked. That's a good, short, compact swing. Ball jumps off the bat. And watch Dexter Fowler just put his head down and go because I'm not catching that.
He knows.
Yeah. You just turn around and just run to the fence because that's the only place you're going to meet that ball.
Hit that ball so hard it had the downward tilt with it. I think he thought he caught it. This game was tied. So runners at second and third. Leake has to be kicking himself with a 2-out walk to Bohr. Stanton the double. And now Derek Dietrich.
Yeah.
And there's strike one.
If these base runners find a way to get to the plate, Mike Leake is really going to be upset because he's a guy that pitches to contact. So you got a 2-0 lead. If you end up pitching to Justin Bohr, getting him, the worst that it's going to be is a 2-1 game. Now you got 2 runners out there.
0-1 pitch. High strike 0-2.
Oh, that's got to be top of the strike zone right there. Yeah, that looked like it crossed the strike zone about elbow high, maybe.
Yeah. Nothing at 2 the count. Tapped foul. You like the idea of the strike zone being raised a little bit potentially?
I don't mind that. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm one of those very few people who think there needs to be an electronic strike zone.
Yeah.
Because in no other sport does the one concept that you measure success by, or where success happens, is in the strike zone where it changes. Batter to batter, pitcher to pitcher.
Gets him to chase and a strikeout for Leake. Marlins strand a couple. And coming up, it's Yadier Molina, who's already homered here today. version of that bobblehead in Ford Plaza. Tickets at cardinals.com/promotions, and that's coming up April 8th. And here is Yadier Molina. Homered his first time up, looks at a strike. You played with Yadi. Are you still in amazement of what he's able to do this high of level?
You know, I think I'm not amazed because I've seen the dedication.
And he strokes a single into center field.
It doesn't happen by mistake. A lot of people, when you see a guy who's so talented, they want to just automatically write it off as, you know, he's just gifted. You know, he may have the athletic ability, but he works extremely hard, learning the base runners, learning the pitchers, learning his staff. You know, just knowing what his responsibilities are all the time and then going above and beyond that with the dedication to make it a success for him.
It brings in Steven Piscotty. Piscotty with a base hit to center.
What do you have up there?
I think you were spot on when you were talking about Stanton, where the final 7-10 days of camp, you want to see it get going. That's the case here with Piscotty. Pops one into shallow center. Barnes coming on, but it'll be the shortstop Jackson who makes the play. Steven came in hitting below 150 in this game, and he's a guy that the Cardinals count on, potentially their number 4 hitter, and led the club in runs and RBIs a year ago.
Well, there's two things that you want to make sure. You want to make sure that these young guys, number one, aren't riding themselves too hard, but you also want to make sure that these young guys aren't too comfortable. It's feeling like, well, I have a job. I don't have to worry about these at-bats in spring training, because it can very easily leak into your season as far as not having that intensity or that grind. I think Grichuk may be a little different because he had some ups and downs last year. I don't think he's as locked in as Piscotty is.
Well, it's good to hear that.
As far as feeling comfortable, feeling safe. But Grichuk is one of those guys, when I saw him from day one, his skill set, his tools just jumped off the field at me. I thought I saw a star in waiting, and I hope I still am seeing a star in waiting, because he's got bat speed, he's got power, he can run.
Tremendous raw strength. Here's a 1-0.
I'm glad to see his bat back up in a more upright position. Last year, they tinkered around with him, have the flat bat, and that's something very few guys could do, is hit with that flat bat like that. And I think you take away from the power when the hands don't get to that cock position. You take away some of that violence he has in the strike zone, which can be good and bad. But I think he needs that to produce. You want that violent collision from that effort in the swing, from that ball hitting the bat in the strike zone. And I think when you flatten out the bat, you take some of that torque away.
2 balls, 1 strike. Huge potential. 41 home runs combined the past 2 years. And over 50% of the balls that he puts in play for base hits go for extra bases. 2-1. It's sharply to third. That's off of Dietrich, and everybody is safe.
Jeez, Dietrich. Dietrich's looking in the dugout right now, asking for a chest protector. So you're saying about that raw power, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Exit velocity, he measures out at times some of the Giancarlo Stanton numbers. That's how hard he can hit the ball, too.
And as a third baseman, right there, you going, my job sucks because I got nothing to do but just get in front of this. That's it. They're expecting me to give up my life for this ball right here, and I got to do it or I'm going to look terrible.
Brings in Colton Wong. That was an absolute rocket off his bat. Runners at first and second. Wong, his first time up, popped out to third. And one thing you have to do is keep an eye on Molina. He will surprise you at times and swipe a bag at the times that you just wouldn't expect, which are, almost every time he's on base, you don't think he's going to steal, but he was jumping around there at second base.
Well, especially with a left-handed pitcher who's struggling a little bit. They can't see the lead for a base runner as well as a right-handed pitcher. So if you got a left-handed pitcher, especially after he gives up a big knock or a big hit, and you can get out of his vision and he's focusing on that batter, you can steal a bag. with a big jump.
And the third baseman is off the line, and that pitch is in the dirt.
I mean, those were one of the things that we used to try to take advantage of as a base stealer. When a pitcher's struggling and he's really trying to focus on that strike zone and thinking about himself so much that he just loses you just a little, you can get yourself a bag, and a meaningful bag.
One ball, one strike. Outside, and it's 2-1. We talk about it all the time. You don't necessarily need to be fast to be a good base runner.
Oh,
But it's by instincts.
There's some base runners out there like Paul Goldschmidt, who guys don't think of as top-end speeds, but that can steal you 20, 30 bags a year just by being alert, picking the right situations, getting that distracted pitcher.
Long chops one foul. Evens it up at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And it also helps if you don't look like you can run. Like if you get out there on the base paths and you look like one of those guys who's just born to be a deer, but you ended up as a human, you know, you're going to look at that guy a little more seriously. But, you know, when you see a guy like Yachty or Paul Goldschmidt, you don't think of those guys as base stealing threats, so that heightened awareness isn't there.
2-2 the count. And the next to Colton Long. The fly ball out to Ichiro. Makes the catch. 2 away. Runners back to second and first. And it brings up the pitcher spot, Mike Leake. Cardinals open up on Sunday Night Baseball, week from tonight. Marlins the following day will be in Washington. And for Cardinal fans, we will carry the opening day ceremonies. Nothing like it in St. Louis. It's just a different deal than other places.
There's nothing like seeing those Clydesdales come around there. And I got to tell you, Dan, the first time I saw a Clydesdale up close, I thought maybe I had moved into another dimension, because those are not horses. Those are buildings with legs.
Yes.
That's what those are.
They're huge. The Hall of Famers are there, and you're shaking hands with Bob Gibson and Lou Brock.
And you see all those names out there on the outfield. Red Shandas, Bob Gibson, just all the awesome guys that played in Cardinals history. And then you got those monstrous Clydesdales running around the field.
Ozzie Smith and Whitey Herzog. Tony La Russa comes back, your former manager.
Oh, yeah.
I bet Mookie, your dad, I'm not sure he liked Whitey.
Oh, you know what? Let me tell you.
Let me tell
you a little secret about old Mr. Wilson over here. He secretly wanted to play for the Cardinals because they played his brand of baseball.
Ah. He said, yeah. The running Redbirds of the 1980s.
As much as the Mets, you know, had their rivalry with St. Louis, you know, he was one of those guys that was a St. Louis Cardinals type player, and he knew it.
He would have fit in just fine.
Oh, yeah.
Runners at first and second. 1 ball, 1 strike on Mike Leake. So they say you come to the ballpark, you're going to see something you've never seen, and you're probably going to learn something you never knew. I never knew that Mookie Wilson wanted to be a Cardinal.
Yeah.
Whitey's the best. You would have loved playing for him.
I tell you what, doing the fantasy camps, got a chance to meet Whitey and just talk to him, and I had a blast getting to know him. A lot of fun.
A swing and a miss by Leake. The Cardinals strand a couple. And we have played 4. St. Louis on top, and it's 2-0. Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Everybody taking in the sunshine here at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter. 2-0, Cardinals with the lead. Along with Preston Wilson, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Great to have you with us on both Fox Sports Midwest and Fox Sports Florida. And a strike belt high to Brandon Barnes underway here in inning number 5.
Brandon Barnes showing some power, just missed a home run earlier at bat in the game. And let's take a look at the comparison of the starters there. Wei-Yin Chen, Mike Leake. See if we can pull that back up again. The difference has been the long ball. 2 earned runs for Wei-Yin Chen, giving up 6 hits, and Mike Leake has been, well, Mike Leake like 4 hits, scatter him around, only 1 walk, 2 strikeouts.
That's it out of play. And the 1-2 pitch just missed. Now, this is a typical Mike Leake start. You don't see many walks, balls put in play. He works quickly. The 2-2. And he gets ground balls. Hit to third. Jerko with it. 1 away. So Barnes is 0 for 2, and it brings in Ramon Cabrera, who singled to right his first time up. Well, before the game today, the Cardinals gave out some rings to the champions, State College Spikes, in the New York Penn League. Their manager, Johnny Rodriguez. His son is Sean Rodriguez, who's involved in a serious car accident in the offseason and hopes to play at some point, though, with the Atlanta Braves after signing with them. 1-0 pitch, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, this offseason, there were some really tough accidents that teams had to go through. So happened to Yordano Ventura on the same day. Another major leaguer, well, he wasn't playing at the time, but former major leaguer died in a car accident.
Catch is made in right, 2 down.
Dan, let me tell you what we're looking at when we talk about Mike Leake, how he doesn't throw that hard, but he still gets deception. He stands all the way on the first base side of the rubber. But when you watch him now, he steps towards the middle of the mound, and he throws across his body, so you pick up the ball late. And also that arm action gives you that little sink when he throws on the glove, on the arm hand side. So he doesn't really throw much that straight. And that's why it's a little bit tough for a guy who, you try to pick him up, you know?
Pretty free and easy, too. Doesn't look like he exerts himself. Not a big guy. There's a ground ball. Long. Wow, what a play. Stretched by Carpenter and can't come up with it.
He tried to hang on. The throw was just a little wide. That may have been a play Colton could have taken a little bit longer on because he had the time, did the jump throw there, just a little off the line.
Yeah, I think you're right. He had a little bit more time than he thought.
You know, and sometimes when you're playing against guys who aren't major leaguers every day and you've been in the big leagues, you don't know how this guy gets down the line.
So extends the inning to the pitcher spot. Wei-Yin Chen, who is 0 for 1. Hitless in 56 plate appearances in his career.
Yeah, every day you wonder if it's going to be today when you see Wei-Yin Chen get a hit in the big leagues. And usually after the first pitch or two, you say, well, I don't think it's going to be today. As hopeful as you are, it's just not in his favor. It really isn't. It's got to happen at some point.
It's got to. Walk into something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, somebody could faint or something. It could happen.
Wong flipped it, and Chen has a base hit.
Oh, if you could only just save down for the season.
They may want to throw that ball out.
I mean, this is just placement right here. You almost saw Mike Lee yank his hand back, like, you know.
Wanted to field it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough chance right there for Colton Wong. Watch Mike Lee. He actually pulls his hand back a little bit. I wonder if he may have actually been able to field that ball.
Yeah. So extends it to D. Gordon, and Chen picks up the hit. I got to wonder if that's his first hit ever in pro ball.
No, I think he had a hit before at some point. You know what? I'm going to say he had a hit in the minor leagues somewhere.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to believe that he's gone his whole life in professional baseball without reaching base safely. Or via the base hit. Because that would be rough.
So it's a couple of infield hits. 1 ball, 1 strike on D. Gordon. Singled back in the 4th, was picked off, and he's also grounded out to second. Fastball misses outside, a little bit low. As this young man goes, the Marlins go offensively in many ways.
Oh, he makes it so much tougher on the opposing pitcher, because when he gets on base, you have to worry about how quickly you're getting the ball out of your hand. And then that translates into you losing stuff for most pitchers. There's very few pitchers that can pitch effectively while worried about trying to be quick and still have the action and location on pitches. And that plays right into that middle of the order when you got Yelich, Stanton, hopefully Ozuna will be out there, Dietrich, Bohr, those power guys who are just waiting for that mistake.
The 2-2. Ground ball that's hit to short. Charging Diaz quickly to first. Marlins strand a couple. They have stranded 4 on the day. We're midway through 5. 2-0 St. Louis. Preston Wilson alongside world champion of the 2006 Cardinals. I'm Dan McLaughlin. This broadcast being shown on both Fox Sports Midwest and Fox Sports Florida. It's 2-0 Cardinals here in the bottom of the 5th. Be the top of the lineup for St. Louis. They've got a couple of solo home runs. Fowler, Diaz, Carpenter coming up. Molina, a home run back in the 2nd. Fowler, his first of the spring, first as a Cardinal, back in the 3rd. At this point in spring, too, both these starters, you're going to see them get around 80 to 90 pitches. You know, get to 6, maybe 7 innings. Maybe. Cardinals have Matt Bowman, Brett Cecil, Seung-Hwan Oh, Arturo Reyes, and Ryan Sheriff all available today. So here is Fowler. 333 his average here in spring.
Yeah, this is about that time you start seeing guys start stretching a little bit, thinking about maybe getting the game for a defensive replacement or possibly pitching change.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes.
Fowler with a towering home run earlier in the game. Got himself another 2-0 count right here, trying to get himself something to drive.
2-1. We'll take you back to the third. Bam. And he knew it. 2-1 pitch. Line foul and out of play.
What a
2-2.
snag by that fan down there. Look at him. Hold it up, big fella. That was a line drive off the bat that I think I don't know if he caught it so much or it just embedded himself in the hand. Look at that. Yeah. Did not drop his beer. That's a solid Games play right there. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I just need some ice.
Yeah, can't feel his left hand, but everything's good. Tough play here. Long throw overboard and into the seats.
Yeah, that's a tough play. Did a good job, get a glove on it, but when you know that guy running down the line is Dexter Fowler, the only thing in your mind is get out of your hand quickly, and you just got to hope that you put it there on target. And see, Dietrich there gets it there, but just doesn't quite get on top of it enough. And that's, in my mind, that's a base hit.
Ruled a hit and an error. So the base hit and then the error on the throw. And now it's Aledmys Diaz. Cardinals have in their top 3 potentially it could make it some long innings for starting pitchers, especially in the first. Their top 3, when you look at Fowler, Diaz, Carpenter, all high on-base percentage guys. Fowler and Carpenter go very deep into counts. You know, they could really establish something here in the first.
Yeah, that's what you want out of your lineup. You either want to have that instant scoring threat as far as power at the top of your lineup, or you want to have guys that absolutely grind you into a fine powder just with their patience, their ability to foul off pitches. It's just so much more stressful when you have to add pitches because a guy is so good at fouling them off or working you deep into a count.
1 ball and 1 strike. Big hole on the left side of the infield. Just missed. Last year, Diaz on-base percentage was .369. So you add that with Dexter Fowler and Matt Carpenter, that's a pretty good trio. Here's a 2-1 pitch. And Diaz, it's a high fly ball. Going back, Ichiro. Fowler will tag up. And the catch is made. What a good play that is by Ichiro. We talk about the sun field and wind blowing. Terrific play by Ichiro.
Well, it looked a little awkward, but what Ichiro did right there is a veteran move. He allowed the ball to come out of the sun by not getting behind it. If he gets behind it and works into it, he's going to be staring right into the sun. So as an outfielder, when you stay sideways like that, you will keep yourself out of that straight line. I said it before, sun baseball you. Now it's sun baseball and you're off to the side just a little bit, and it allows you to see the ball coming out at the last moment. That's veteran stuff right there.
Fowler tagged up. Went to third, so the infield drawn in. The lead of 2-0 for the Cardinals. 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Well, Carpenter has been the Cardinals' leadoff man for a handful of years. Now he drops down to third. Be very interesting with a full season to see what he can do in terms of the RBI numbers.
Well, that's the transition that guys have to make from hitting at the top of the order to the middle. Now, with that power, are you able to make that power happen with men in scoring position, with men on base? There's some guys who it translates very well. There's some guys that don't. Alfonso Soriano was a guy that it never translated.
0-2. Couldn't hold up.
You know, you'd have Soriano have 30, 40 home runs, but then he'd have 70 RBIs. And that's not the type of guy that you can hit in the middle of your order, because that's telling me that he's doing it with nobody on. and he's not doing it when it really counts. I think Carpenter, though, has a chance to really work because he does see a lot of pitches, and he is good at working the count. I think he'll be fine with Menon hitting in the middle of the order.
0-2. He's told me before he prefers to hit with 2 strikes. Not a lot of guys like that.
That's craziness.
Yeah.
That's craziness. That's not a real thing. No. I've never met somebody. Tony Gwynn didn't like to hit with 2 strikes. I mean, whatever you got to tell yourself to get through the day, Matt. I love you anyway, but that's just crazy.
You're not buying it, huh?
That's crazy talk. That's
On base percentage, 380 last year. 2 years ago, popped 28 home runs. And hits it out of play.
What kind of masochistic stuff is that to say I love hitting with 2 strikes, Dan?
You know, it makes you think, though, about how locked in he is, because there was a study done a couple of years ago in Major League Baseball about guys that were called out on strikes. And the majority of he was at the top of the list in terms of when you were struck out, balls that were actually called strikes. He's very, very good and understands the strike zone.
Dan, he is 209 with 2 strikes. You gonna tell me he likes that?
Why'd the truck show that?
Because they need to know that. Because everybody needs to know that I'm not crazy saying that makes no sense for somebody to say they like hitting with 2 strikes.
The man likes it. The man likes it.
Like I said, masochist. Help me struggle. Get me in a 2-strike count. Come on, Matt.
2-2 the count with 1 out, runner at third.
I mean, you got the Abe Lincoln beard. You got to be honest.
He does have that, doesn't he? Infield in and a 2-2 pitch. Foul ball. Carpenter now a 3-time All-Star. And despite missing about a month or so, still led the Cardinals in on-base percentage. 36 doubles last year. Is 168 the last 4 years. That's most in baseball.
Okay, now you got me questioning Matt Carpenter's judgment now. Yeah.
Hey, it is what it is. The 2-2. Check swing. Did not go. So now he has worked the count full. Now with a full count, pretty good numbers. 3-0-2.
Okay, yeah, now I can see that because now the pitcher's in a do-or-die situation here with a full count.
And it's pulled foul.
Yeah, but when you stipulate that it's just 2 strikes, you got to include 0-2, 1-2. Like there's a lot of counts in between there where success is not very high.
Pitch number 74 coming up from Chen. Another 3-2 to Carpenter. The high fly ball lifted into right. Backs up Stanton plenty deep. Catch is made. And Fowler racing home and scores. 3-0 on the RBI by Matt Carpenter.
Oh, good job by Matt Carpenter there, getting him a pitch to finally drive for the sac fly. 2 things stood out right there on that whole play. Carpenter's grind up at bat, and Giancarlo Stanton's arm strength, which is something people don't really talk about.
He's got a great arm.
This was a pretty deep ball, and he made it there 1 hop with a good, strong throw. I mean, look at that. It's
a high strike to Jerko.
1 harper, and not just a strong throw, but an accurate throw.
He showed off his arm about a weekend, last weekend, I guess, about a week ago. Nailing a Cardinal at the plate, trying to tag up on him. I think the Miami outfield, you can tell Giancarlo's really into it.
Yeah, he's stressing. That's a high-stress inning for him right there. Yeah.
Yawning. Here's the 0-2. But this outfield, the trio of the Marlins, you might not find a better 3 in baseball.
No, I think the other outfield that may rival it may be the Pittsburgh Pirates with McCutchen, Marte, and Polanco.
Yeah.
But these three, when you got Yelich, Stanton, and I know Ichiro's out there today, when you got Ozuna in there may not be a more talented bunch as far as arm strength, ground they cover, their efficiency and routes to the baseball, and they productive offensively as well.
1 ball, 2 strikes. There's Ozuna.
You know, quickly that talk has gone from being the best young outfield in baseball to maybe just one of the best outfields in baseball.
Sure. A little bit low, 2-2 the count. Well, for us, this is our final telecast of the spring on Fox Sports Midwest. Next time we talk to you will be Sunday night. Opening day festivities. There's a foul ball. Marlins then open up in Washington the next day. Never understood with the schedule makers. We were talking about this earlier in spring. We showed you that the Marlins only have 9 home games in April, and you would think that baseball would want to at least try to get the majority of games at home in warm weather cities.
Well, it depends on where you're on that totem pole there, Danny.
Oh, yeah?
You know, when you're a team that hasn't really drawn a lot in the past couple years, and you're not one of the premier teams in your divisions, even though the Marlins are trying to get back there. There's, you know, with the new signings this offseason, you know, the schedule isn't always kind to you. I remember we'd had years where we always opened up seemingly in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, just in case you fans don't know out there, in April can be kind of chilly. One of the coldest baseball games I ever played in, they had those big 10,000 BTU propane heaters in the dugout.
Sure. Low throw and out at first.
Do it, JB. Picking it over there.
A little bit of everything in this game. Sign that guy up. Yeah, not bad. 3-0 after 5. Projected rotation -1. It's still up for grabs, but Edinson Volquez, the opening day starter. Then Dan Straley, Tom Kohler, Wei Chen. Urania has been talked about, hard thrower, very hard thrower. He's out of options as being a potential number 5, and it may be a numbers game with him that he earns that spot in the rotation.
Yeah, it's a tough call. Urania's been working on his command. He's also added a changeup. That's been pretty good for him. Adam Conley may be another guy they throw in the mix, the lefty, who I really thought would have taken the step up and claimed it, but he hasn't really panned out as far as taking that 5th spot this year. So they got a decision they got to make, and it's very close right now. So these last outings by those 2 potential number 5 starters are going to be very important for evaluation.
There's a base hit by Ichiro as we start play here in the 6th. Right-hander starts to throw for Miami in their pen. Mike Leake, one of his final tune-ups of spring training, has been sharp so far. So Ichiro, his 2nd hit today. Brings in Bohr, grounded into a double play, and also has walked.
So then we get a good one. And for 2 years, we brought it here, you know, like one time.
Outfield straightaway, fairly deep.
And so we laughed.
Jerko at third base, well off the line. Carpenter holding it first. And the first pitch is taken for a ball.
The thing that I really like about Justin Bour is you see those 15 home runs last year, but a lot of those came in big spots. He's not one of those guys who hits the empty home runs where he fills up on his stats when the game's out of hand, 6-7 and nothing in the 9th inning, and the guy pops one. He's not that guy. He hit a lot of game tying and put ahead home runs and hit some 8th, 9th inning. You know, that were really crucial runs that they need to produce.
Yeah, prior to his injury, 15 home runs, 46 driven in just 68 games. So he was put together a pretty good year.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those high ankle sprains that when it's a high ankle sprain, they're really tough to come back from. And, you know, it took him a while to get back.
The 2-0 is lined to short. Knocked him down. Hit so hard. That's Greg Garcia.
That's some loud contact there. Yes, there's sometimes where we've seen it with Dietrich earlier. Now you see Garcia. Yeah, you just try to protect yourself and make a play.
I know. Too bad.
It's a 1-on, 1-out. Now Stanton. Pitch taken a little bit low and in. Stanton in this ball game has struck out and doubled to deep center.
When I watch Giancarlo Stanton, that pitch right there, if he's taking it, he's seeing the ball a lot better. When you see him chase that sinker in off the plate, that's when you know he's not right. Because then that translates into him swinging at the slider off the plate because he's just not seen it long enough, maybe not on time. But when you see Big G take that sinker inside off the plate and he does it in a relaxed form like he saw it the whole way, things could get a little loud in there. And we saw it in that second at bat.
Cardinals with a shift on and a ground ball, could be 2. Garcia to Wong. The turn double play, the third double play turned behind Mike Leake today. 3-0 Cardinals midway through 6. TNT, so get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Right here, Yanni.
Tazawa, one of the free agent signings in the bullpen of what could be an excellent bullpen for the Miami Marlins. He'll take over. Junichi Tazawa.
Well, I think one of the things the Marlins brass really focused on is bolstering that bullpen, making sure you got good, consistent, strong arms coming out of there every night. And this guy, Tazawa, is one of those pickups that they made to bolster the bullpen, and he's been as advertised. 5 innings, no earned run so far.
Here is Yadier Molina, is homered here today. There's an article written in the local papers in St. Louis. Derek Gould reporting that Cardinals chairman Bill DeWitt will make a significant offer to Yadier Molina and try to keep him with the Cardinals and finish up his career wearing the birds on the bat.
Well, you know, and I understand Yadi's angst about wanting this to be done before the season starts, because you don't want to put yourself or the team in a position where you feel like you're negotiating from a stance of, well, he's hot this week, he isn't hot this week. So it keeps those feelings out of play. And it's better for both parties involved, because, let's be honest, everybody wants to see Yadier Molina finish his career as a Cardinal. It's just a matter of how do you make it work.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Mr. DeWitt also telling Derek Gould that, you know, he understands that there's a difference in trying to negotiate with certain players as opposed to an iconic player and maybe a potential Hall of Famer.
Right.
Didn't work out with Albert Pujols. John Mozeliak was on our air yesterday and said it's a different type of negotiation, though, with Yadier Molina. It's just not the same.
Yeah, I know both guys well. I've played with both guys, and the personalities are a little different.
And also the numbers. You know, at that point in time, Albert was looking for a 10-year deal, and he got it.
Right.
Molina will be 35 this summer. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Yadier Molina. Outside. Two and two the count. Puts it in play to short. Backhanded by Jackson. Nicely done. Well, for those watching on Fox Sports Midwest, remember St. Louis Blues hockey tomorrow. Blues in the hunt for the playoffs. And we'll come your way at 6:30 with the pregame show. The Blues and Coyotes tomorrow on Fox Sports Midwest. Brings in Steven Piscotty. First time that Molina has been retired in this game. Piscotty 1 for 2. The base hit to center and also popped out to short. 1 out and nobody on. Good breaking ball. Here you look at Tazawa. You've added Brad Ziegler. Barraclough comes back. David Phelps. A.J. Ramos. It's pretty good bullpen.
And there's a guy that people don't talk about, Nick Whitgren, who has been one of those guys who's pitched in high leverage situations from the minor leagues on up, and he's afraid of no one. So there's some guys in that bullpen that can really just make it tough on opposing lineups every night.
570 strikeouts out of their bullpen last year, 4th most in baseball, and some of the hardest throwers too in the game.
Barraclough is just, he's filthy. He has one of the best swing and miss slide. He's an ex-Cardinals guy.
That's right.
He's Cardinals farmhand.
He was part of the Steve Cishek deal.
Yes. Barraclough's one of those guys who I think the command was that issue at first. Always had electric stuff, high velocity, good swing and miss stuff, but able to get that repeatable motion down and be more consistent.
1-2 pitch. 2-2. One of the things it did in the Marlins last year, 29 blown saves, which was most in club history, 2nd most in the National League behind the Giants.
Yeah, and I think the Marlins kind of ran into that issue with Fernando Rodney, where he really overperformed in the first half, somewhat a la Jay Bruce for Cincinnati, where the numbers were just so eye-popping that you have to take a chance on him. But if you are really paying attention and just how the way baseball goes, it's hard to keep up those numbers for a whole year. So a guy like Jay Bruce, who hadn't really put together a stretch like that, all of a sudden has this first half that's just unbelievable. You got to believe he's not going to do that exactly in the second half. Same thing with Fernando Rodney. Had a 0.2 ERA, I think, when the Marlins picked him up, 0.3 from San Diego. And it was just, you know, the law of averages had to pan out at some point.
There's Randal Grichuk with 2 outs. They say Tazawa's went right, get some of the nastiest stuff from the right side of the bullpen. He'll vary his motions, his times to the plate. Very deceptive.
Take a look at Tazawa's delivery. Look at that glove. He just kind of throws it right at the middle of the plate. Kind of like his guy. Like you see that front arm comes out, and then here comes the arm. See that? Then he kind of tucks it in, gets that whip.
1 ball and 1 strike. With 2 outs and nobody on. The next 2, Randal Grichuk. 2-1. Grichuk today struck out back in the 2nd and singled in the 4th. Tazawa fields his position, makes the play, and Grichuk the 3rd out here in the bottom of the 6th. We head to the 7th, 3-0 Cardinals. One of his final tune-ups before the regular season hits. Pitched very well. 6 scoreless innings here today, aided by 3 double plays turned behind him. 6 innings, 7 hits, no runs, walked 1, struck out 2, and pitched out of trouble.
If you're Mike Matheny and you draw a game up from Mike Leake, it's going to look something like this, where even when he gets guys on, he's able to make guys miss the barrel and get those weak ground balls, get a weak fly ball, and also execute, field his position. This is a Mike Leake start that you want to see right here.
Brings in Derek Dietrich as we start play here in the 7th. New pitcher Brett Cecil for St. Louis. Signed a 4-year contract in the offseason as he comes from Toronto. He's got that pitch right there that, when right, is absolutely nasty. A very good curveball. This is our Chevy Cole to the pen. It's funny how sometimes it just takes a while, especially in the game of baseball, to figure out your niche. Cecil was a starter, a high draft choice, then eventually moved to the pen, and that's where he's found great success.
Well, it's one of those things where sometimes baseball decides for you what your role is going to be. You may have in your mind what you want to do, but sometimes your skill set just pans out better but now he has a chance. I mean, you can look at this signing. They jumped on him quickly, and it seemed like it was something that they needed to do because they was aggressive getting Cecil. And he could be a guy that changes their bullpen for the St. Louis Cardinals.
A strikeout of Dietrich to start the 7th. Zach Duke was acquired at the trade deadline of last year, and he came over from the White Sox, was very, very good. And all of a sudden, Preston, he had to have Tommy John surgery. So you're right, Cardinals knew they had a need, went and addressed it, paid a lot of money for it, and here he is.
Yeah, you look at the Blue Jays with Kendrys Morales. That was a signing for a premier, power run producer guy that was made very early in the free agency process.
Slow roller that is foul. New catcher for the Cardinals is Carson Kelly, and he is rated as the #1 catching prospect in all of baseball.
Yeah, sure the Cardinals need that, right?
Well, that's what complicates the Molina thing, is you've got this guy waiting, you've got an iconic player in Yadier Molina, and what could be his final contract ever with the Cardinals or in baseball. And it's something that you have to keep in mind with all this, too.
It's amazing. You look through baseball history and you wonder how many shortstop prospects got stuck behind Cal Ripken. How many first base prospects got stuck behind Frank Thomas or Jim Thome. Those guys who played 15, 20 years.
Boynes, a little floater down the left field line. Foul. Well, the Cardinals have had an issue over the years finding a backup catcher, knowing that Yadier Molina is going to catch 145 games.
It's not a job people are jumping at. If somebody's jumping at a job to be Yadier Molina's backup catcher, that might be a guy you don't really want anyway. Because he's counting vacation days.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
1-2 the count. But it really has been an issue. I mean, they've tried to overpay for certain players, bring them in. It's been tough to find that guy to back up Molina. Now, Kelly will go to the minor leagues and play every day. He'll be a AAA this season.
Yeah, it's tough when a guy is so complete. It's not like you're talking about a catcher that's just a power catcher that's not good defensively.
The fly ball into right.
You're talking about Yadier Molina, one of the best all time as far as a catch and throw guy, managing the game, and has made himself into a really good hitter.
06, when you were part of that championship team, at that point in time, Yadier Molina was not even close to the hitter that we see today.
When you faced Yadier Molina in 06, you thought he was the weak spot in the lineup before the pitcher, But it's not a disservice to him. It's just the fact that he wasn't asked to be good offensively because he was so young, just getting started, and he was asked to handle this pitching staff.
Off of Cecil, and Cabrera is retired. And Cecil limping off. Let's hope he's all right. Time to stretch. 3-0 Cardinals. Preston Wilson, Dan McLaughlin with you as we come your way from Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. David Phelps takes over for Miami.
We talked about some of the other pitchers in the Marlins bullpen. This guy may be the guy that they can't live without. He has experience as a starter. He's been the setup guy. He's been a closer. There's no role in the bullpen that he can't execute, and he was great in the setup role last year. Ended up having pitching himself back from a forearm fracture a while back. I think it was a stress fracture in his forearm. Came back. Velocity wasn't quite there, but over a while, man, he started seeing the control, the command, the velocity, and he's got a really good cutter that has really been a weapon for him in the last year or two.
Colton Wong shoots one out to left. Stays in the ballpark. Matt Den Decker with the catch as he takes over for Ichiro.
How big is the puzzle you've ever seen?
David Phelps played at the University of Notre Dame. He was a pitcher there, and he is from St. Louis. Started his career with the Yankees, then came over to the Marlins. This is Carson Kelly at the plate. Phelps, by the way, attended Hazelwood West High School, and one of his coaches was Kyle McClellan's brother. And Kyle pitched with the St. Louis Cardinals for a number of years, working down here on some of the broadcasts on the radio side, and that was Phelps's coach. One of them, as he attended Hazelwood West. 0-1 pitch to Kelly.
One of the great things about David Phelps is you never know what's on his mind if you look at his face. He's one of those guys who's a straight poker face, very low, very, little emotion on the mound. Looks like his resting heart rate is about 12. Just nothing rattles him.
And a ground ball softly hit towards third. Glove, throw, and the play is made, and Kelly retired, hitting under 200 this spring. With that, there's 2 outs. So Greg Garcia will be the hitter for the Cardinals. Garcia took over at short for Aledmys Diaz, and he's in the top spot now in the lineup. So 2 outs, nobody on.
Greg's having himself a nice spring, hitting .349, driven in 9 runs.
He's really had a great last week to 10 days. He's shown he can play shortstop. Cardinals know he can play second and third. What he gives you is, and we hear it all the time, a professional at bat. And he wound up being one of the better pinch hitters going up and down last season from AAA, but very good pinch hitter for the Cardinals.
That looked like the cutter from Phelps right there. Talked about really can run it in on the lefties, run it away from the righties. He'll even use it as a front door pitch to right-handed batters as well. Get him to give up on that ball inside, and it drifts over the plate.
That time is called. 2 balls, 1 strike with 2 outs and nobody on. Inside again. The 3-1 pitch in Garcia. It's a fly ball out to shallow left, and Decker over near the line and puts it away. So Phelps is scoreless inning. We head to the 8th. Cardinals on top. It's 3-0. There's a lot of the pitchers. They've had enough.
Yeah, well, if you're wondering who those guys are that don't have any bags to carry, those would be the pitchers. Everybody else is, got their stuff they got to carry around, get the gloves and the bats carrying around them all day at spring training. Those guys, work every 5 days, the starting pitchers. They got their sweatshirts, and that's it.
Tell you what, that's a lot of money walking out the door.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Matt Bowman is our Chevy call to the pen. Very good spring for Matt. This time last year, he may have been the final guy that was on the roster. Rule 5 pickup from the Mets. Cardinals had a couple of issues with injuries, and Bowman made the club out of spring and had a solid year, and now a very good spring here in 2017. And there's a strike to Ryan Jackson. He was a starter in the minor leagues, shifted to the bullpen, and he's been very, very useful for the Cardinals. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Ground ball, left side. And that's one away.
Really smothered that ball, got on top up to the third baseman. Nice routine out.
Patrick Wisdom has the top-rated arm among infielders in the Cardinals organization. And he just showed you why. Here's Tyler Moore. He's had a very good spring for the Marlins. There's strike one.
And that's really what you're hoping to do. You're hoping to open some eyes, to do something that makes the coaching staff or the manager pay attention and give you that second look and be fresh in their mind, so that way, even if you're not supposed to make the team, you'll be one of those guys that they consider if something happens.
0-2 the count.
We're going to have to go chat with them.
Bowman has that unique delivery. Hides the ball well. Works on that first base side of the rubber. And the ground ball, Wisdom is there, but it's foul. And a souvenir.
Yeah, he's got one of those very deliberate motions, and you see that pause when he does his step back. It kind of reminds you of Tim Lincecum. Got that kind of step back and then that over-the-top slinging action.
That's what we were talking about that a lot last year. It's similar. He doesn't have quite the range in terms of how far he extends out, but right here, that, then the turn, and goes.
Yeah, it's very similar. He doesn't extend down the mound as much as Lincecum does. Lincecum gets great extension and really releases the ball a little bit closer to you, but you can see how the ball is hidden from Bowman. Tyler Moore, 5 home runs this spring, 8 RBIs. That's something that'll get you noticed, because one of the things the Marlins need is they need power other than just in their starting lineup.
3-2 pitch. Out of play.
Once you get outside the Marlins' top 8 everyday players, there's not a lot of power on that bench. Dietrich showed some.
Got Ichiro, but he's not a power hitter.
Yeah, Ichiro's not. You to have that threat late in the game where you're not just worried about giving up a single, but possibly giving up an extra base hit, is something that the Marlins need.
And a base hit out to left on the 3-2 pitch. You see that last year. Atlanta 122 home runs, Miami 128.
And you got to look at a year. Christian Yelich really stepped it up with the home runs he hit last year. But when you go down the Marlins bench, there's not really that guy that you're worried about coming off the bench. And as soon as he's in at the home plate, he's in scoring position. They don't have that instant threat.
There's Matt Den Decker, and he looks at a strike. Cardinals have turned 3 double plays today. And Bowman is a real good power sinker. Gets a lot of ground balls, and it's something you think about in this spot here in the top of the 8th.
Well, he really does a good job of getting downhill, getting on top of that ball, creating that good angle to induce a ground ball.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. There's your ground ball. Garcia, the turn, and not in time. Let's pull DeYoung out there at second base.
Yeah, that's one of those where you got to understand if it took it that long to get to you, kind of a slow hopper, that's when you got to eat. That's just youth. And this is why we play these games, so these guys can be in the big league environment, understand the speed of the game, and hey, next time, just eat it. Because now instead of having a man on first base, now you put your pitcher in a position where he's got 2 outs but could give up a run on a single, as opposed to guy on first. It's got to be an extra base hit to score that guy.
This is Peter Mooney. Where's number 91? There's strike 1.
Yeah, we're getting into that part of the program where guys are losing their last names on their jerseys.
Yeah, that's when you know that he's probably in the minor leagues.
Or not very well liked by the equipment manager.
That could be it too. 5'6", 155 pounds.
Florida product, Loxahatchee.
Oh, 1. Popped up. Kelly throws the mask, and it hit the umpire.
That's not going to do you any favors right there.
No.
He absolutely just jettisoned that at the umpire and hit him right in the chops. Wear that.
Watch here.
Watch him come in there at the ball, just smokes him right there in the corner of your screen. Man. He fired that thing, too.
He did. 0-2 pitch to Mooney. Ground ball. DeYoung gobbles it up, makes the play. Bowman, another scoreless inning. It's been a scoreless spring for him. Sports Florida, the Marlins will kick off their season as they'll be in Washington to take on Bryce Harper and the Nationals. And the next telecast for the Marlins will be Tuesday at 1. The Astros and the Marlins on Fox Sports Florida. So spring training baseball this week. And then a week from Monday, they'll kick it off in Washington. Along with Preston Wilson, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Cal Barraclaw takes over for Miami. And he came over from the St. Louis Cardinals. That was a July deal in 2015. And he was called up to the majors not too long after that. And he's been a nice find for Miami.
Just a great addition for the Marlins bullpen. Really kind of snuck up on some people. I think the Marlins scouting department did a great job seeing him in the St. Louis Cardinals minor leagues. And he's always been one of those guys that ever since he came over to the Marlins, you see guys leave the batter's box, and they just got that look like, that's a little different. You know, you can tell there's very few guys that get that reaction, but his slider has guys going back to the dugout, shaking their head, looking a little miffed.
He's got a very good fastball, too. That one clocked at 93. This is Garcia. And he was signed by the Cardinals after defecting from Cuba. One and two the count. John Mozeliak talking about how Garcia has to not only get used to professional baseball, but get used to the culture, the lifestyle here in the United States. The 1-2 pitch.
Well, I'll tell you, we talk about the culture of baseball. I think if one thing that the WBC has proven is that baseball is so much more fun when you let people express themselves. You know, it was so much more vibrant watching those games, seeing those guys allowed to have fun. You know, seeing guys, if a guy hits a home run, not get worried about getting hit in the head the next pitch. It's something that baseball really needs to evaluate and think about, just letting guys express themselves. And you got some guys who come from cultures where it is a culture shock, where they can't enjoy the game the way they used to. And I think it changes guys. And I think some of the players who come from Latin America are less productive sometimes because they're so worried about how they're perceived or what they might do, instead of baseball embracing them and saying, hey, look, just play baseball. If this is how you have fun, have fun. You don't have to worry about being injured because you express yourself.
Garcia can really run. He's at first base, and now it's Matt Carpenter. Rarely do you see a everyday player playing 8 or 9 innings, but that's the case here with Carpenter.
I mean, and let's be honest, there's no medal that you should be wearing on your chest because you drilled a guy in a batter's box because he hit a home run.
Right.
I mean, in my opinion, I'm just going to go, it's cowardice, because nobody's stopping you from hitting a guy with a baseball. There's no fight. You're just taking a baseball that nobody's stopping, and you're trying to intentionally hit someone and injure him. It's cowardice.
There's a 1-0 pitch to Carpenter instead of check on Garcia.
And why? Because he was better than you for one pitch?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, a lot of times, too, it's the guy on deck that gets hit, and he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let me vent my frustration in a way that's going to hurt my ball club even more by putting another guy on base. But I proved my point.
Carpenter in the air out to left. Then Decker comes in, makes the catch. Garcia back to the bag at first. Brings in Patrick Wisdom for St. Louis. 3-0 Cardinals. There's a home run by Yadier Molina in the second. Solo shot. Then Dexter Fowler, a home run in the third. And a sac fly and an RBI by Matt Carpenter to score Dexter Fowler in the fifth.
Patrick Wisdom's a big boy. He kind of looks a little like Scott Rowland body type.
He's a big kid. Rowland was incredible at that size, and how agile he was, how quick he was, the range that he had at that size.
In my opinion, it always starts with the feet. A guy's got good footwork. That really plays it a lot into how they move out there on the field, how they can get to certain balls, how they get themselves in good throwing position.
Very good jump by Garcia. Steals that bag.
Yeah, this is one that's stolen on the pitcher. Oh, he got a great jump. Wow.
That catches your attention, huh?
Yeah, yeah. He can run a little bit.
One ball, no strikes on Wisdom with one out and a runner at second base.
And baseball is played from the ground up. No matter what position it is, it's from the ground up. You know, you look at a pitcher when When he's going poorly, it's usually because he doesn't get to a balanced position. When a hitter's not going well, he's late with his feet, or he's maybe diving it. Everything is from the ground up with baseball.
The 2-0. You can see what speed does, and we talked about it with D. Gordon earlier, and Garcia looked like he could have stolen third base easily, and you could see Bearclaw's a little rush to the plate too.
Sometimes it's not what you do, but it's how you do it. He stole that base so easily that he definitely got Kyle Bearclaw's attention.
Yeah. The 3-0 instead of check. Wisdom's had a good spring with 3 home runs and 6 RBIs and an average of 300. A 3-0 pitch, and he walked him.
Let's take a look at how Garcia got going there. That's just a good jump. See him get his weight over that front side. I mean, that's textbook right there. When you can steal that base knowing you got it standing up, that's how you know you got a really good jump. And Bearclaw isn't that slow to the plate. He's not one of those guys that's yanking up a 1.5 to home plate. So when you get a good jump like that, that shows me that this guy's got his keys and he trusts what he sees when he's on the base paths. I like that.
Bowman will hit for himself. 1 out, runners at first and second. Drops down a beauty. The chance now for Stephen Piscotty. You're talking about times to the plate. What's the ideal time?
Usually the guideline is about 1.3. But if the pitcher is 1.3 or higher to home plate, I feel like I got an excellent chance of giving that back.
Yeah.
If a guy's slower than that, now it's getting kind of dicey. But if you got a pure base stealer, if that pitcher's 1.3, you got to feel like you can get that back.
That's when the pitcher starts his delivery, and when it's caught in the mid of the catcher.
Right.
Runners at second and third with 2 outs, and Piscotty. Hit a base hit back in the second. He's popped out to short and also struck out. Piscotty, a liner into right, sinking but caught. No damage done. Some smiles for Bearclaw. 3-0 St. Louis as we head to the ninth. Bud Light, Cubs and the Cardinals, and that'll be April 4th. our first game telecast at 6:30. And a reminder, we will have the home opening ceremonies for you on Fox Sports Midwest. We will not carry the game, but we'll have the home opener, those ceremonies, and then our first game will be on April 4th. And meanwhile, for the Marlins, it'll be next Monday, April 3rd, 12:30. Marlins and the Nationals. You can catch the action on Fox Sports Florida. Preston Wilson, Dan McLaughlin with you. The Marlins and the Cardinals wrapping up spring training this week. And Bowman in his second inning of work facing Carlos Paulino. Talk to the players, and guys are ready to get north. Back to Bowman. One away.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges of a coaching staff and an organization, is making sure these guys mentally aren't already north. You know, especially your veteran guys, there's that week left. They feel like spring training is already 2 weeks too far into it right now, so you're trying to make sure the focus stays on the details, stays on all the little things that we need to do. And Mike Matheny, Mattingly, these are the times where you got your work cut out, keeping those guys from getting ahead of themselves and making sure that you finish the drill that is spring training.
What a player he was, Don Mattingly.
Oh, man. Joe, it's to think that his career probably could have been longer if he hadn't had a bad back.
Sure.
Just what he did. He was the face of the Yankees for years there.
Retired in 1995. Next year, the Yankees win the World Series.
Yeah, it's amazing how that happens. And there have been names of guys who've played forever, like Ken Griffey Jr. Played a long time, didn't get a ring. Don Mattingly. Then you got guys who, you know, just seem to fall into rings or playoff races every year. It's amazing.
Little luck involved. Maybe you get drafted by the right team.
Yeah.
The right era of that team.
Right team, right time.
Two and two. Dexter Kerstad from Amarillo, Texas. The 2-2 by Bowman. Out to left. Bridget makes the catch. Ryan Shales, the final hope for Miami. This technically is a Cardinals home game. We got about 5,000 people here this afternoon.
You don't want to know.
A nice crowd, great day. I enjoyed the day with you, Dan.
I always enjoy with you, Preston. We have a lot of fun.
We do.
Get to see you during fantasy camp. That's always fun. Last year, the 06 reunion back home in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
You guys had a lot of fun.
Probably a little bit more than we should have at times.
That's all right.
But, you know, when you get to see your old teammates, it makes you remember, you know, that the game is one part of it, but the part that you miss is the relationships and the friendships of guys that you won and lost with. You know, those are the times where you're there for each other. Those tough days where you pat your buddy on the back because he went 0 for 4 with 4 Ks.
Right.
You know, those are the things that mean a lot to you. You don't remember half the games, but you remember talking to each other in the dugout. You remember being there for each other in the clubhouse. You know, it's a fraternity, and when you're able to win together and win a World Series together, that amplifies it.
The 2-1 pitch. 2-2. It's like you guys had not missed a beat. It had been 10 years, and you guys are yucking it up like it was,
man.
You know, July of 2006.
There's some stories that never die, you know, and it's a wonderful thing where guys, it's a mutual respect. You know, there was a certain professionalism with that ball club that carried on.
The 2-2. And he struck him out, and the game comes to a close. The Cardinals shut out the Marlins 3-0. So Bowman, 2 scoreless innings. He has not been scored upon this spring. And the St. Louis Cardinals defeat the Miami Marlins by the final of 3-0. We'll wrap things up with our statistician, Mookie Wilson and Preston Wilson. I'm Dan, 3-0 the final. Wrap it up in just a moment.